Welcome to our groundbreaking TV magazine show, Global Connections. Global Connections is all about Namibia's relationships with the global community. This week, we are still with a segment of culture and tourism. And to help us talk more about culture and tourism, we have Gitta from Hospitality Association of Namibia. My name is Elizabeth Mbambi, and here are our Global Connections. It is indeed our groundbreaking TV magazine show, Global Connections. Global Connections is all about Namibia's relationships with the global connections, with the global community. Today I am with Gitta, and we are at Hospitality Association of Namibia. We're gonna have a chat about what they do here and their role in shaping the future of Namibia. My name is Elizabeth Bambi, and here are our Global Connections. Gitta, how are you?
I'm very well, Elizabeth, and thank you for inviting me to your program. I think the topic is just beautiful because the Hospitality Association of Namibia, we represent the accommodation part of the tourism industry. And I think there's hardly any other industry that is as global and as international as tourism is. So I think we fit your topic very, very well. H.A.N is an organization, it's private sector. We were founded in 1987, so even before independence, to basically lobby for the interests of the tourism accommodation sector, because even at the time before independence, tourism was never seen as an industry to be reckoned with. It was seen as a very exclusive industry for just a small group of the Namibian population. And I think many things have changed, and huge potential has been developing for especially the young people of Namibia. And I think that hasn't yet been realized. And you know, the global connectivity that tourism in itself brings to the party is something that we as Namibians really should start to optimize on. And we as H.A.N, as the Hospitality Association of Namibia, have coincidentally had a topic that speaks to your theme for this program, where we connected with international people to really sort of put Namibia on stage and, you know, be a partner to what seems to have post-pandemic become the biggest problem or the biggest challenge facing the tourism industry, and that's skills sufficiency. So in as much as everybody wants to learn to be a doctor or a lawyer, the tourism industry employs quite a sizable number of people. Even here in Namibia, it's about 11 to 13% of our employment rate, and also the contribution that we make to the GDP is quite high. And I think many Namibians don't realize the potential of tourism, and that's where we as a lobby group or as an association are stepping up to the game to say, listen here, this is what tourism is all about, and we look for trends and topics internationally that speak to tourism development, and I think we're very much on par with what's happening in the rest of the world.
Gitta, how was H.A.N, how was it established?
It was in 1987, even before the time that I came back to Namibia, because I studied in South Africa. In 1987, we had a few hotels. The concept lodge didn't even exist, but there were hotels and motels and some guest farms, and they realized then already that they needed to group themselves to speak towards international exposure, to speak towards standards, regulations, you know, quality control, that kind of thing. And we didn't have any regulator at the time, so it was a group of 16 people, including the owner then of Namibia's biggest hotel, which is still the Safari Hotel, now completely transitioned into new ownership, international ownership as well. A few guest farm owners, and they said, let's come together and let's bundle our interests and our needs and form an organization, you know, basically unite our voice and speak out. So they went up to the regulators, to the municipalities to say, listen here, we need to have some kind of quality control for our industry and make sure that when we do offer services to our guests, which are very often the international guests as well, we match it to the international standards. So that was 1987. They started with 16 people, I think. And over time, we are currently an organization that we've got just under 380 members, including hotels, lodges, guest farms, rest camps. We also have some associate members from the catering industry, because, you know, to set up a lodge or hotel, you need infrastructure, not only in terms of brick and mortar, but, you know, the kitchen equipment, the furniture, you know, to make it look nice and comfortable. So those business sectors of the travel industry have also joined H.A.N, as have publications. We've got lots of tourism publishing houses like Venture Media and Brochures Namibia and Legends of Africa and many more that have joined us to basically add to the united voice of promoting Namibia's tourism accommodation sector and the quality that we speak of. So it's been, and it's voluntary. So while we do have the Namibia Tourism Board that was founded after independence in 2000, which is the government, it's a statutory body that services both the regulation and quality control of the Namibian tourism industry and also our marketing. So generic marketing for Namibia is done through NTB. But we as private sector organizations do a lot of supplementary services in terms of self-regulation about, the standards and the type of trends that we want to set, and also do a lot of marketing, because private sector has been very, very active in marketing Namibia as a destination of choice. And we've had quite a few accolades and titles already, where Namibia, very often still known as Africa's best kept secret, is now coming up and stepping up the ranks in terms of the popularity. I think for 2024, Wanderlust has rated us the top 5 in African destinations to come and visit. So we're getting there. We're becoming very, very known. Compared to other big tourism entities and destinations like the Bahamas or the Caribbean or the Mediterranean, obviously not in those numbers. But then again, we always need to remember what Namibia is. We've got a huge country with a small population, but our environment is also very pristine and fragile. So mass tourism is something we never want for Namibia, because it's going to kill what we actually try and present, and that's that untouched, soulful, rugged, beautiful Namibia that we sell. But yeah, those are sort of our overriding aims, that we want to, as Namibians, as joint Namibians, really put Namibia somewhere on a pedestal as a destination of choice in terms of quality, but also in terms of sustainability. And I think that's key as well. We need to do it right so that even our children and children's children can safely promote Namibia as a beautiful destination.
Speaking of our children and children's children, or the generation that's coming, when we had a chat earlier, you mentioned something that really caught my attention. You mentioned that the young people don't really know the importance of tourism or the tourism industry. So I would like you to explain, to touch more on that. What do you mean by that? Yeah. Because I believe there's a young person, they think about maybe when they hear tourism, oh, maybe it's just me hopping in a car going somewhere, or when they hear about tourism that, okay, I can study tourism because I just want to travel and I want to have those benefits. So can you just explain the importance of tourism in Namibia and why young people should know about the importance, why they should take it serious?
Well, we as tourism organizers or tourism associations, we've always claimed that role to say tourism is everybody's business. So whether you in the media or the suppliers or the youth of today, we all have a role to play to make sure that our tourism industry flourishes. Now in 2009, quite a few years ago, H.A.N, because we sense that there's still a lot of ignorance amongst the Namibian people about what tourism is, and that stems from maybe the history where people said, why should we travel to another country if we have our own little backyard or our little farm up north? So during the holidays I would go to my family either at the coast or the north, but that's all part of the tourism industry. And we set up this tourism awareness program at the time, also with the municipality of Windhoek, where we went to young school children before they do their last subject choice, I think it's grade 9 or 10, and said, okay, let's introduce them to tourism. And we did that by taking them out of school for one day and take them either into a hotel or to a lodge, and we made them walk through a day in the life of a tourism worker. From front office to back of house to maintenance. They had to cook their own meals. They had to sort of see where the reservations and the marketing activities are happening. And the comments that I got there was, madam, I didn't know what tourism was, and that's why I was never interested to choose that as a subject. But now I see it's everything. That just explains how tourism can be so versatile and so approachable for the youngsters. So whether you want to do marketing or sort of branding we need you in tourism. Whether you're good in mechanics or any other handicraft, we need them in tourism because we've got trucks and rails and cars and buses and boats and planes. We need those people with technical skills to actually service and operate those instruments that we need to have tourism move, because tourism is a moving industry. Then we've got, and I think that should be something natural to us as Namibians, is to be the hospitable, warm, friendly nation. So when you've got your friends over, you actually become a tourism worker because you serve them, you provide meals and drinks. And very, very keen, I think where I see the media play a huge role. Tourism is all about storytelling, because only through the telling of stories does the world learn about a new destination, and the more intricate and more intriguing you tell your story, the more interesting you make that destination. So but the message hasn't come out, and I think, and that's one of the topics that we had at our H.A.N Congress this year. Now, the Hospitality Organization, we always look at world trends and we determine the topic of the year based on what's happening in the world, speaking to Global Connections, because we need to make sure that we are on par with the trends to be able to satisfy and exceed the expectations and the needs of our visitors. And we noticed already last year that the world was running out of people serving the tourism industry. I mean, from Europe to the Americas to the Asias, everybody said, we have all the people gone, because we're now opening up our hotels after the pandemic, but we don't have enough staff. It so happens that some of the hotels have closed a whole floor or two because they didn't have enough staff. So we already last year picked up on that problem and said, okay, Namibia has to do something in terms of skills development by attracting the youth, to make sure that when they get to the point where they need to choose which career they want to enter into, that tourism becomes one of the choices that they can make. So awareness creation in terms of what tourism is, who should become involved in the tourism industry, because you need to explain why we always say tourism is everybody's business if they don't see that business sense in it. And while we were sort of formulating our idea for the Congress of 2023, I got a call from a German hotelier. They've got a huge hotel group, H.A.N, 14 or 18 hotels in Germany and Austria, and even now bought into one in Cape Town. They actually called us up and said, Germany's run out of staff in tourism and they hear about Namibia's unemployment problem, so they would like to take some Namibians across to train them and then obviously to service the tourism industry. And I said, not so fast, because we had realized that we have the same challenge. And through that, we developed a beautiful partnership, starting via Zoom contacts and email writing and, sharing of ideas and challenges and concepts, to the point where he actually said, Gitta, can I come to the Namibian Hotel Congress? I want to actually hear what you are talking about and see where we can sort of join hands and match our challenges. So, yes, the German hotel group was here. We had a congress at the was then still called the Safari Hotel, that has now moved to Mercure Hotel in May of this year, where we had 120 or over 120 mainly Namibians, but not only from the tourism sector, but also academia. So we had UNAM there and NUST and IUM and all the vocational training sectors to say, please, what do we do to first of all entice young Namibians to consider choosing tourism as their career? And what kind of programs are there for them to enter into? So even if you don't have straight A's in your matric exam, or even if you haven't made it to matric, there are options in tourism where you can actually, from grade 10, venture into the training that will get you into a good position in the tourism industry. It was a beautiful 2-day event where we really sat down and we threw all the challenges on the table and said, also in terms of skills delivery, it's not only a shortage of skilled people in Namibia, but also a mismatch. So yes, UNAM was there and NUST was there and IUM, and they said we've got beautiful tourism courses, but very often we have these graduates and they don't seem to find employment. So the whole skills development mismatch that is there, that was also laid on the table, and we had a lot of influence from everybody to really speak out openly, and I think that's key in Namibia as well. And I think that's where the media comes in as well, that we communicate, that we join hands and we talk about our issues together as one united nation. And there, the academia and the tourism industry and the media and everybody involved actually, really made use of those 2 days, including with, the German hotel here that was there. And we also have 2 or 3 other agencies here in Namibia that have already started an exchange program where they entice Namibians to go and work at some of the tourism properties. And Simon Williams, for instance, has a very good link to the Americas. This German hotel group is very keen to take young Namibians that have expressed interest or have started their training in tourism to a tourism exchange or skills exchange program in Europe, where they can actually work at a hotel in Germany and sort of acquire more skills and beef up on their skills levels. And that alone, I think, is the beauty of tourism, because we are international. The skills that you have to be able to service you and me when we go to a coffee shop or to a restaurant or to a hotel would be the same services that they would need to apply to somebody visiting a beautiful hotel in New York or Shanghai, for instance. And that's what we are trying to convince the youth of Namibia to actually see, that, you know, if they come and work in tourism, their skills are international and the world would be their oyster. And I think that is the charm. I know that we're always being blamed for tourism not paying well. It's an industry where we work 24/7. And we usually start working very hard when the rest of Namibia starts playing. So, you know, after 5, when all of us office ladies knock off and we take our handbag, we go into a restaurant or a coffee shop and we want to be served. And that's where the hard work in tourism actually starts. But one of the quotes that we had during our Congress was also, remember, money, cash on hand is not everything in life. And, you know, we in tourism, we usually work in beautiful environments. We get paid by sunsets. People come to Namibia to witness our sunsets, and we in the tourism industry have them on a daily basis free of charge. So, you know, that balance that we as young Namibians should actually strike a balance between the financial riches and that soulful, rewarding quality of life that you know, work in the tourism industry actually provides, and that's some of the discussions that we had during that program. And it seems that Namibia is not alone in that. I mean, the whole world has run out of skilled staff because they haven't seen the value or the reward of working in the tourism industry, which is so global, so international. And once you're in it, your doors are open. You can go wherever in the world.
So, wow, that's beautiful. And I wanted to find, just for interest's sake, the event that took place, is it ongoing or was it only for this year? Is it once off or is it ongoing? Are we gonna keep on pushing for this to take place every year?
Well, we had the topic for this year, like last year, the H.A.N Congress was Unlocking New Horizons, where we sort of looked at the development of H.A.N National Park that was proclaimed in 2019, and we had beautiful dreams about really accessing what used to be the old Spergebiet diamond area, no-go area for the you and me, to open it up to tourism. And obviously then came the pandemic, and then came green hydrogen. So H.A.N National Park, where it is a national park, and yes, there are inroads in terms of providing concessions, tourism concessions for beautiful tourism products in that area. That Unlocking New Horizons has sort of almost been pushed a little bit to the side because of the big news stories that Namibia tells in terms of green hydrogen. So that was last year's topic, but we haven't, discarded that idea. We're working on it. For this year, as we said, the whole world has run out of skills, so we focused on skills development, and the topic that we chose was the co-creation of a tourism training roadmap. And that's something that we initiated this year. We set it going, but it's a 3-year program, and skills development is an ongoing thing. And the beauty of it is, because we had so many diverse people participate in that discussion, we have developed partnerships that are now ongoing. I mean, as I mentioned, Living Hotels is very keen, and they've already started. One of our youngsters is currently at a Berlin hotel. 2 of them are in a München hotel and Munich hotel. Young Namibians sort of working in that hotel on a skills development exchange basis. And that exchange program, we are trying to grow even more, so that we give the young Namibians an opportunity to work on the world platforms, to see that, what we do here in Namibia is comparable to the world standards that we have out there, but also for them to be exposed to some of the world environment. One of the hotels that was also taking part at the Congress, they have an in-house training academy, as they call it, and they took 2 of their well performers and had them work in a sister hotel in Dubai. And those two young Namibians, when they came back after 3 months, they were thrilled because they'd seen the big glitzy glamour world of the United Arab Emirates, but realized that them as young Namibians, skilled and working in the Namibian tourism industry, are perfect to perform on the international stage. And I think that's charming. So our tourism training roadmap is not a H.A.N owned product. It's for Namibia to actually walk that talk that we did and really pave a way to make sure that we've got sort of an ongoing skills development momentum from the universities and the vocational training centers and also in-house training services, that we all speak towards one goal, and that is to make Namibians skilled for the jobs that are at hand, and also to expose the youngsters to the various opportunities that they have. And if they start with grade 10 and they go into a vocational field, there are stepping stones. So after their vocational training, they could actually, at the end of the day, if they wish, venture into university and even do a master's degree, because we want to build that road that takes them, to that path. So career path development in tourism, that's all one of the products that we didn't finish at the Congress. It's ongoing, and we've got the likes of the Namibia Training Authority. They were the co-creators of this roadmap as well, as were the universities and the vocational training centers. So it's an ongoing program. And out of it now comes the beautiful partnership, talking about global connections, where Living Hotels Germany has actually invited us to come and speak to their board of directors next year in March, just after the ITB, which is the biggest world international tourism trade show. The whole world comes together, and Living Hotels has actually invited H.A.N to be part of it, and also speak to their directors in terms of the exchange program, because the German hotels are very keen to have some Namibians work there, and vice versa. So that partnership, it was started at the Congress, and we're building on it. Next year as well, in June, we will see the African Hospitality Investment Forum take place here in Namibia. It's a world event that takes place in Namibia next year, together with Aviatef, which brings together the CEOs and the owners of the world's top 40 airlines converging on Namibia to talk about tourism development. And skills development will definitely be part of the agenda there too. So it's an ongoing program, because we as human beings, and that's very, very key. Everybody always looks at beautiful buildings and investment in brick and mortar. But for us, the end message of our Congress was, the most important investment you can make is in your people. That is the biggest asset that Namibia has. Those 2.5 million Namibians, so you and I, are valuable. That makes Namibia different from, the rest of Africa. And we should harness the opportunities that we have, the skill set that we have in Namibia, and make sure that we optimize the opportunities for young people. Because, we in December now, and how many 50,000, 70,000 youngsters would now have finished their schooling, and next year would look at opportunities of where to go. And yes, not everybody can go into the engineering field or the medical field, but there are opportunities out there, and us sort of making the connections and trying to demonstrate that we are same to what is happening in America or Europe or Asia for that matter, and that what we have in terms of the human capital and the human skills, our hands, is just as valuable and needed the world over, that we can really show our young Namibians, listen here, if you want to aspire to travel the world, maybe tourism is your choice for a career, because yes, you work hard, because tourism is a 24/7 business, but it's a nice environment in which to work, and it takes you places.
Well, so it's safe to say that it's a passion.
Exactly.
It's a passion.
You need to have the skill set is variable, because you quickly learn how to do things, but it's your attitude towards the job that is key. And I know when we launched the tourism awareness campaign in 2009, it was actually Minister Mbumba then, who was part of the education field. He says, all you need to do, young Namibians, is have the right attitude, the passion, like you said. And if we are proud about who we are, and have some kind of love and recognition for the beautiful country that we live in, that we are fortunate enough to live in, especially if you now see what's happening at the rest of the world, we Namibians are really lucky. I mean, we should really praise ourselves and our government for being able to live in a place called Namibia, where there's peace and harmony, and we've got wide open spaces, and we have a good life. We should really make sure that we harness that and really develop Namibia to be that good place also 100 years down the line.
It seems like most people, if I have to talk about Namibia, I don't think we have so much knowledge about tourism, and when it comes to tourism. And today, speaking to you, you've clarified so many things. And thank you so much, Gitta. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. I gotta say, it was an honor having this chat with you. And I believe that your message is clear. And I believe that I hope that after this interview, or after people view this, they'll start contacting your offices, especially because of the projects which you've mentioned here. And I also believe that more and more people will be interested the more we talk about this issue of tourism, or about the benefits of tourism for the country, or benefits of tourism for everyone out there that is watching this show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay.